Become Hellchained with Mutant Superpowers in Minecraft. This origin spawns you in the Nether and you cannot leave it via a normal Nether portal. This origin is created by Silent and you can download from the Origins Discord server linked below. Let's begin. So getting started, we have Hellbound. You've been banished to the Nether for your crimes. You spawn in the Nether and you cannot enter Nether portals. You can only temporarily leave the Nether via astral projection. So yes, you're not permanently stuck in the Nether, but it's nowhere near what you can do with typical Minecraft. Instead, you have the ability to leave for a short amount of time based upon a certain thing that we'll go over very soon. This is the next key part of this origin, soul harvesting. You can kill mobs for a chance to absorb their soul, and the amount of soul energy you get per kill is random and dependent on their presumed sentience. And what you will find out in just a brief moment, astral projection allows you to go into soul form, gain all of its benefits, but this requires souls, and the souls will drain during this form. If you run out of souls, you will be automatically demanifest and go back to your body, whilst projecting your body becomes a portal to your soul's position that other non-Hellchained mobs can enter. Okay, that's a massive mouthful all at once and that huge selection in there. Let's go over it, break it down a little. So starting off, you have the ability to collect souls. As it says, you can collect souls from mobs, and the amount of energy you gain per mob is very dependent on the amount on what the mob is, basically. It says the amount of sentience the mob has, but the very easy way to think about it is like whether it's something that will whether it's an easy or difficult mob to deal with overall. The far more harder and more difficult ones will more often than not randomly give you a little bit more than what, let's say, a pig or a cow will, because they won't go after you. It's an easy kill. Going into the deeper details of the actual soul juice, it has a 30% chance for the mob to actually drop any form of soul juice for you. The amount it drops is based upon the mob, but it's also mostly arbitrary, so a lower level mob might give you a decent amount of soul juice anyhow. This ability does require a whitelist of mobs, so there might be a few mobs in the normal Minecraft that potentially may have been missed by the creator. Just say it in the comments down below if you don't ever get any soul from certain ones. But this also means that mobs from other forms of mods are potentially not going to be supported by this origin whatsoever. Overall, the 30% chance of gaining soul juice I feel like is a pretty fair and balanced thing, mainly because this origin is more reliant on the fact that you can't leave the Nether naturally. And having to grind potentially hundreds of kills to get a decent amount of soul juice to actually last in the world for a competent amount of time in the overworld is obviously a pretty good thing, because it forces you to stay in the Nether for a lot longer than normal. So moving into the astral plane ability itself, whenever you press your G button, you'll go to the overworld. This timer bar, the soul bar, is something you can actually fill up by killing mobs in the overworld, so you can prolong your stay if you really want to, and roughly each section of the bar is roughly 1 to 2 minutes within the overworld. So overall, it's a decent time frame, but of course when you grind to the full thing, you can stay in the overworld for a pretty decent length of time. The next note to put in mind here is the fact that you're in the Nether, you won't actually move around whenever you're in the overworld. From what I can test, whenever you do teleport to the overworld, your body will never move in the Nether, and whenever you go back to the Nether, you'll go to the exact same place that you were beforehand, no matter how much you move in the overworld. But the more you move in the Nether will also change wherever you will go in the overworld, roughly equivalent to what it typically does with Nether portals. When you travel in the Nether, it will go around for every 1 block in the Nether, you go 7 blocks in the overworld, something along those lines. And it's a really interesting thing to keep in mind, that you won't actually actively move whilst you're in the overworld with your Nether form, but whenever you move around the Nether, it will change wherever you go in the overworld. And the last section of this ability, which I can't exactly test out myself because I have no way to currently, but basically speaking, from what I can gather, your body in the Nether will become something like a Nether portal. Whenever anyone goes through it that aren't in the same situation that you are, they will be teleported to your current location. This can be a good thing and a bad thing at the same time, because you control your friends, especially if they come through right as you go to the overworld yourself, because you're kind of floating down from Earth. Overall, this could be very useful when you're in a multiplayer world and people forgot where their portals were and they need a quick way back to the overworld, and you can just go, hey, come with me. So that can be very useful in most regards. The rest of the abilities for this origin are separated based upon what form you are, whether you're on your form in the Nether or the soul form. I'll specify at the start of them, which this section is going to be all your chain formed abilities. Starting off with heavy acrobatics, you are immune to fall damage, and falling from high distances unleash an AOE attack. Probably the first and the biggest thing to note right off the bat with this ability, this AOE attack will not one-shot zombified piglins, and they will come and start attacking you almost immediately afterwards. But this does have a massive knockback effect, so it might knock them flying off the island you're currently on, saving you from having to deal with them. Big notice aside, this ability activates whenever you fall roughly around 6 to 7 blocks from the sky. So this means that it won't easily activate off of a small type of jump. You do actually have to build up to a 6-7 block height before you take your leap and potentially do some extra damage. But again, as I said, this does not insta-kill kill most mobs, and zombified piglin will immediately become angry towards you, so that could potentially cause a lot of problems. Moving into your next ability, you've got fire tolerant. Your skin is tolerant to extreme heat and you take 50% less fire related damage. Yeah, that's right, you're not immune to any form of fire damage whilst you're in the Nether. You just take less of it, because you can't make things a little too easy in the Nether. You can give some benefits for being in the Nether, but you can't remove the fire aspect of it entirely. Moving on to a more interesting ability, we've got the dark green thumb. You can sneak plus use the use button on a mushroom in its optimal habitat to bone meal it at the cost of some of your exhaustion. Basically speaking, you have the ability to bone meal mushrooms. All you need to do is hold down the shift button and right click on them to bone meal them. It doesn't work with any of the warped fungus that you can use to grow the trees in the Nether. It only works with your red or brown mushrooms. So I don't know exactly how useful that will be, especially when you're in the Nether. Moving into our next ability, you've got refined senses. You can see nearby mobs and projectiles through walls. Overall, you just get given the glow effect on things that are nearby you that are on the other side of a wall or on the other side of a block. Could be useful, might not be so useful at times as well. You do get to see any form of arrows that are sitting inside of a lava pool, so that could be useful, but overall that's all it is. Now we move on to the abilities of the soul variant of this origin. Starting off with Crying Purple. When near Crying Obsidian, you'll lose souls much faster, get negative effects, and have a purple overlay. Overall, the soul drain is not too noticeable of a increase in how much it decreases, but you do get blindness, mining fatigue, and weakness whenever you're too close to Crying Obsidian for too long of a period of time. So basically, I wouldn't be near it. It's not really a great idea. Moving on to your next ability, you've got Fragile Form. Your form is unstable and weak, and you have a less health as a result. Basically, you have 7 hearts instead of the normal 10. You have less health to play with, so be very careful when you're in the overworld because you're more liable to die. Moving into your next ability, Environmental Immunity. Due to your incorporeal form, you're immune to most types of environmental damage. In layman's terms, you're immune to any form of lava, fire damage, cactus damage, any form of dripstone damage, and things along those lines. Those are environmental based damage that will not affect you no more. Moving into our next ability, you've got Floaty Form. You jump much higher, fall much slower, and get knocked back further. So first off, you can jump up to 5 blocks into the air with this awesome jump boost. You will float back down to the ground with slow falling, and you can also hold the shift button in order to fall faster, but you won't take fall damage from this either, which is overall super useful, but with the caveat on the fact that explosions and any form of knockback will throw you far further back than normal. And when I say far further back, it's a fair distance, and it can be annoying if you're not really aware of it at times. Moving on, we have Contingency Plan. You can sacrifice your absorbed souls to save your life while you're in your soul form, and then though you would normally be able to die without them, you'll just simply go back to your body if this happens. Essentially speaking, you'll burn through your soul's juice a little bit quicker if you go to die. When you go to die, instead of just dying normally, you'll burn a bit more soul to actually, well, stay alive for a little bit longer, to refill your health back to full. It's roughly around like a half a bar section of your souls to heal yourself back up to full, and then when you die entirely, when you have no more soul juice, you'll just teleport back to your actual body in the Nether with only a single heart remaining. So if you're in a spot where, let's say, a piglin will come out and murder you, it might be a bit of a sticky situation there. Now, no origins are perfect. There's always going to be some issues that come with it, but I want to talk about what this one has. And probably by far the biggest issue that this origin has is the sheer amount of lag that comes with the soul form. Whenever I was in the Nether, I was able to play around with this origin, no problems with shaders on, with my typical 60 FPS with no problems at all. Whenever I go into my soul form, not only would I have to turn off my shaders, it would be slightly more laggy in the gameplay, like it would be a bit more janky because it will be a bit more cut, because it's just like the soul form adds a fair amount of lag to your game for some weird reason. I'm not 100% sure why, so I don't know if it can be fixed, but overall, other than that, the concept is really cool, and then the execution on this, aside from the bugs and of course the lag issues, is a really cool executed concept. So either way, check out this origin on the Origin Discord server, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and check out this demon origin we took a look at last week on the end screen. Either way, goodbye.